Hi, it's Dennis Daly. The golden age of radio was one of the shortest golden ages of all time, yet during its run, radio brought about immense change in America. Radio brought us through the Depression and the Second World War, and then struggled on until television finally won the battle for supremacy in American media. Radio had begun just after the turn of the last century as dots and dashes, listened to by do-it-yourself radio enthusiasts. Then early voice transmissions brought radio into its first age. By the 30s, the techniques were perfected, the networks were in place, and radio was on its way. The war changed everything, as did the coming of television. On the night of September 30th, 1962, when yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and Suspense signed off on the CBS radio network, the golden age ended. But radio's final 25 years were golden indeed. So join me now as we explore radio's last 25 years. For the first 11 months or so of 1941, America thought it was business as usual. The war, everyone thought, was over there, and certainly not in the Pacific. The movie-going world was shocked when Greta Garbo quit Hollywood at age 36. In the classic Subway Series, the Yankees beat the Dodgers 4-1. Things would change on December 7th, but before America went to war, it listened to one of the most interesting years in pre-war radio. First, we'll hear the great show, The Quiz Kids, and then revel in one of the great detective shows of the time, Mr. Keen, Tracer of Lost Persons.
Here they are, the Quiz Kids, presented by the makers of Alka-Seltzer. We're on the air with the School Kids Questionnaire. The Quiz Kids, 5 bright, lovable youngsters ready for another difficult examination in the Alka-Seltzer schoolroom of the air. The examination tonight will be conducted in exactly the same manner as all our regular Wednesday night Quiz Kid programs. And as usual, none of the children has seen or heard any of the questions in advance.
I'll say we haven't. Let's get going.
All questions were sent in by you listeners and were selected by Sidney L. James of the editorial staffs of Time and Life magazine.
I don't care who sent them in. Let's get going. That's all right.
A new Zenith portable radio will be awarded the sender of each question used on this program tonight. And now our chief quizzer himself, Joe Kelly.
Thank you, Ken Carpenter, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we'll proceed directly to the roll call. Richard?
I'm Richard Williams. I'm 11 years old, and I'm in the 6th grade at Harrison School, East Chicago, Indiana.
Jack Lucal?
I'm Jack Lucal. I'm 14 years old, and I'm a freshman at the Oak Park and River Forest Township High School.
Joan?
I'm Joan Bishop. I'm 14 years old, and I go to the Chicago School for Adults.
Claude?
I'm Claude Brenner. I'm 12 years old, and I'm a sophomore at Senn High School in Chicago.
Gerard?
I'm Gerard Darrow. I'm 8 years old, and I go to the Bradwell School on Burnham.
And Jackie?
I am Jackie Benny. I am 6 years old. I didn't have a chance to go to school at all. I was just a poor boy, and I used to stand on the corner selling papers, barefooted in the winter. And I used to say, extra, extra, paper here. Get your paper.
Quiet, please.
Fine chance I'm going to have here, I can see that. You know.
Now, Jackie,
I know
please.
just as much as the kids, you know. You just ask the questions, that's all.
Jackie, please. And incidentally, where are your curls?
What?
Where are your curls?
On my lap. They got hot.
Well, while we're getting ready for our first question, just a word or two from Ken Carpenter.
Here's a word of friendly advice to all you parents and older folks. Alkalize with Alka-Seltzer. Yes, the next time you eat too much or too fast or eat while under stress and strain, alkalize with Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer is just the thing to relieve the misery of acid indigestion and distress after meals. It helps to neutralize excess stomach acid, so often the immediate cause of the distress of an upset stomach. But that isn't all. You see, Alka-Seltzer is a pain reliever also. And if you have a sickish headache along with the stomach upset, Alka-Seltzer can bring you mighty comforting relief in both of these disturbances. Be wise. Take Alka-Seltzer. You'll feel better fast.
You said it.
Quiet, please. We will now start with the questions. All right, quiz kids. R.S. Hart of Seattle, Washington says that he was in the desert and after taking an analysis of the only water available, found that it was 100% aqua fontis. Would you drink such water? Joan?
Yes, I would.
Well, can you give us anything further?
Well, aqua fontis is fountain water.
That's right. It's really spring water, Joan.
Oh, yeah, spring water, yeah. Joan. That's right, Mr. Kelly. It's spring water.
Yes, I know. It says so on my card here.
I know. That's where I saw it before.
All right, the next question. Pete McDonald of Vernonia, Oregon, a schoolboy who says that he never enjoyed anything in school but recess until he began listening to the quiz kids, sends in this one. Incidentally, he adds that his grades are improving. Here it is. If you had something that contained a prothorax, a mesothorax, and a metathorax...
A meso what?
What did you say?
A meso what?
A mesothorax.
Oh, a mesothorax.
That's right. And a metathorax, what would you have? Gerard?
Gerard, you answer. You had your hand up first.
Now, Mr. Benny, don't butt in, please.
Well, I just thought maybe. You see, I'm certainly going to have a fine chance here today.
The mesothorax and the metathorax and the prothorax are all part of the thorax, which is a part of the of an insect. On the thorax is the part between the abdomen and the head, and an insect.
Well, good for you, Gerard. That was marvelous. That's very good.
I used to know that when I went to school, but, you know, when you get older, you forget those things. That's it. Can't remember everything.
Now, our next question...
I used to know algebra, too, when I went to school.
Quiet, please.
Oh.
Mrs. Burdette E. Truesdon of New York City says you can prove you have a good background by naming at least 3 persons whose names will live forever because their names have been used to identify their chief contribution to humanity. For example... the name of Roentgen is perpetuated in the word Roentgenology. Claude?
Nobel. He was a Swiss scientist who discovered dynamite, and he gives out prizes to people who do something great for the world.
That's fine, Claude. Let's see what Joan has to offer.
Well, there's Calvinism. That's a doctrine as to the downfall of man. And Darwinism, the theory of anthropology.
Very good, Joan. Jack Lucal?
Well, there's Alessandro Volta. His name is perpetuated in the volt, by which we measure electricity. And James Watt, they use his name for the watt. That's what
nice going, Jack Lucal. Let's see, Richard?
Well, Martin Luther in the word Lutheran, which is a church, and Dr. Rontgen, who discovered the Rontgen rays.
That's very, very good, Richard. Jackie has his hand up. What?
Well, there's a fellow named Max. He had something to do with the Maxwell. Maxwell.
Now, wait a minute, Jackie. There's no connection there.
There is, too. A fellow named Max sold me my car. There it is. Max Maxwell. Name was Max Miller. Certainly got a fine chance on this program. Should have stayed on my own Jell-O show.
It's beside the point, but we'll accept it as half right.
Well,
Claude?
Also, there's Jean-Francois Ampere. He had something to do with electricity, and his name lives in the ampere.
Oh, the ampere,
That's
the
right,
ampere.
Claude. Jack Lucal.
Well, there's The Cadillac and LaSalle were French explorers, and their names are names of automobiles.
Very good, Jack Lukel. I guess that will hold Jackie for a while. All right, our next question.
Of course, if everybody's going to get laughs on this program, I'm going home.
Gerard?
Well, there's also a DeSoto who was named and he was a Spanish explorer that found the Mississippi.
That's right, Gerard. I'm glad you brought that up. Now then...
And what about Johnny Chev that made the Chevrolet? For heaven's sake. You're going to go into that kind of stuff, you know. Johnny Chev. What about Harry Stood? That stuff.
Well,
I can answer a million of them, you know. The questions, that's all.
We'll all withdraw from the garage right now and get into our next question. Miss Margaret Faith of Camden, New Jersey, poses this mountain climbing and mathematics problem. A mountain climber was making his way along a mountainside ledge.
Wait, pardon me. Who was it asked the question, you see?
Miss Margaret Faith of Camden, New Jersey.
Oh, Camden, New
Yes.
Jersey, I see. Important question.
Let's see, where oh, yeah, here I am. A mountain climber was making his way along a mountainside ledge at an altitude of 6,440 feet. While edging his way, he accidentally kicked a rock which went flying toward the bottom of the mountain at some animals who had to scurry for shelter. Ignoring the friction of the air, how long did the animals have to reach safety before the rock hit? Now, you've got to do this in your heads, kids. No pencil and paper.
What is the last question again, please? How long did it take what?
Well, that is the question. How long did it take?
1 minute and 43 seconds.
That's wrong.
Certainly got a fine chance here.
Richard?
20 seconds.
20 seconds is correct.
Well, no wonder. He squared the root. I tripled it.
Well, nice going, kids, and though I don't think you need it, you can rest a moment now. It's recess time.
We've been telling you over and over again about Alka-Seltzer. We've told you how good it is, how convenient and economical, and how fast it can bring relief in the distress of so many common ailments. And now suppose we let Alka-Seltzer speak for itself. All right, first of all, we take 2 Alka-Seltzer tablets from the package and drop them into a glass of water. Listen. Do you hear that fizzing, sparkling sound? Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, it is good. It looks good, tastes good, and is so good for relief in so many common ailments. That's Alka-Seltzer, all right. The 2-in-1 remedy. 2 kinds of relief in 1 glass. First, Alka-Seltzer is a pain reliever, just what you want for relief of headache or sore aching muscles. And second, Alka-Seltzer is an alkalizer, just what you need when excess acid upsets your stomach and causes distress. Be sure to try a sparkling glass of Alka-Seltzer the next time any of these annoying ailments cause you trouble. See for yourself how good it is, how fast it can make you feel better. Ask your druggist for Alka-Seltzer. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Quiz Kids, presented every Wednesday night at this time by the makers of Alka-Seltzer. Now, just a word about the questions. You can win a new Zenith portable radio with patented built-in wave magnet if you send us a question which our question editor finds suitable for use on the air. Yes, Alka-Seltzer awards a famous Zenith portable radio for each question used on this program. Just mail your questions by postcard or letter to Quiz Kids, National Broadcasting Company, Chicago. That's Quiz Kids, National Broadcasting Company, Chicago. We reserve the right to reword questions, and if like questions are submitted, the first received will be used. All questions become the property of Quiz Kids. So send in your question and win a radio.
You better see that I get that $100 bond, too. That's all I worry.
All right, Joe, you ready with the scores at the halfway point?
Yes, Ken, but in deference to our guest contestant, I hesitate to read them. I think I'll just let them go until after the second question session. Maybe a miracle will happen. By the way, Richard, that last question we had before the bell, can you tell us how you worked that out?
Well, Mr. Kelly, Any body falling through space, disregarding the friction of the air, accelerates at the rate of 32 2/10 feet per second. And the rule is the distance equals the time in seconds squared times half of the acceleration per second. And in this case, it was 6,440 feet equals 16 1/10 times the time squared. So I divided 6,440 by 16 1/10 and got 400, which is the square of the time in seconds. And I extracted the square root, and that gave me 20. And so the answer is 20 seconds.
Good for you, Richard, my boy.
You see, where I made my mistake there, see, I took the least common multiple there. That's where I got wrong. That's where I got the minute 43 seconds in there, you see. I sort of square rooted it there.
Yes, that's what I say. Yeah. Well, let's get along here now. Here's a question from Mrs. Daniel Stormont of Evanston, Illinois.
5,280 feet is 1 mile.
What? What did you say?
5,280 feet is 1 mile.
Well, nobody asked that one.
Well, if they do, I'm ready. Watch out.
All right, we'll continue.
All right.
If you told the election board you were a mugwump, would you be listed as a Republican, Democrat, Socialist, or Independent? Now, there is a tough one. If you told the election board you were a mugwump, would you be listed as a Republican, Democrat, Socialist, or Independent?
I wouldn't tell anybody I was a mugwump. So ridiculous. Huh, Claude?
Well, Claude?
I'll take a guess. I say an independent.
That's right, but how did you guess it?
I just guessed.
Oh, you just guessed. That's right. You see, the political name of mugwump, well, let's see what Joan has to say.
Well, I rather thought it was independent, too, because there's a column in one of our Chicago papers called Mugwump.
That's true.
Politics.
But you see, the political name of mugwump started in 1884 when it was applied to supporters of James G. Blaine, who switched to Cleveland because of his civil service views. Blaine was Republican candidate for president. Jackie?
I know what a mugwump is.
Oh.
You do?
You see, a mugwump is a bird that sits on the fence with its mug on one end and its wump on the other.
Have a little more discipline, please.
Well,
getting back to the political situation, Jackie Benny, who was president of the United States in 1901?
Grover Cleveland.
That's wrong.
Well, I ought to know. I voted for him. It was Grover Cleveland.
You're wrong. It was William McKinley.
Just wish I had a history book, brother. That's all.
I've got one.
Well, give it to me. I got a low chair here. Grover Cleveland, that's who it was.
Let's continue with the next question. Pauline Salzman of Grand Rapids, Michigan, found these ads in the paper.
Cleveland, you know, I know Grover Cleveland. But...
Quiet, please. I'd like to present this question. Pauline Salzman of Grand Rapids, Michigan, found these ads in the paper. She would like you to tell her just what is advertised. Here's the first item. For rent, colonial estate near Charlottesville, Virginia, designed by owner. Adjoining buildings make estate virtually a community. Right owner, T.J., Charlottesville, Virginia. Jackie Benny, you're holding your hand up.
I'm waving at some friends in the audience. I can have friends in the audience, can't I? Hello, Mamie.
Well, let's complete this question. Richard?
Monticello.
Monticello, the home of?
Thomas Jefferson.
That's right,
That's
Richard.
right.
Good for you. Connie Haytop of Minneapolis, Minnesota, wants you to sing or hum these notes as I give them to you, and stop me as soon as you recognize the scales you are singing. All right, here's the first one. C.
Oh, That was Joan.
All right, Joan. D,
Oh,
E flat,
oh,
F,
oh,
G,
oh,
A flat,
oh,
B,
oh,
C.
oh.
Do you recognize the scale?
That's the harmonic minor.
That's very good. All right. Here's
If
the
I
next
had my violin here, I'd have gotten it.
Here's the next one. C,
Oh,
C sharp,
oh,
D,
oh,
D sharp,
oh,
E,
oh,
F.
oh.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We've got some other hands up. I'm going to give this one to Claude.
That's a chromatic.
Chromatic is correct. Good for you, Claude. And here is the last one. C,
Oh,
D,
oh,
E flat,
oh,
F,
oh,
G,
oh,
A,
oh,
B,
oh,
C,
oh.
B flat. Richard?
That's the melodic.
Melodic is good. Good for you, kid.
One of the silliest questions I've ever heard. Ask me something once in a while.
Now, quiz kids, you'll need
Waving my
mythology.
hand all the time. Nobody even calls on you. Stand there with big dough.
You'll need mythology as well as ornithology to answer this one. Ethel Baker of St. Louis, Missouri, wants to know why peacock
Is that
feathers...
Paul Baker's sister, Ethel? That isn't Paul Baker's sister, is it?
When you want to talk, Jackie, will you please hold up your hand?
Because I know an Ethel Baker, you know.
I
That was
see.
Paul Baker's sister.
Well, remember to hold up your hand when you want to say something.
All right, I'll hold up my hand. For goodness sake, you sit there. What are you, the boss or something?
Quiet, please.
Last time I'll come on this show.
You're telling us. Now, let's see, where am I? Oh, yes, here I am right here.
I care, but it's just...
Ethel Baker of St. Louis, Missouri wants to know why peacock feathers are spotted. Gerard?
The peacock has eyes in his tail feathers because of a mere myth. You see, when a long time ago, when Jupiter married Juno, after a few years, he became jealous of her, and he turned her into a calf. And he sent Argus to watch her. But Juno turned herself right back into her regular form, and Argus was the one that had 100 eyes in his head. And Juno killed Argus and put the eyes in the peacock's tail.
Well, thank you very much, Gerard. That was a very fine description. Jackie, I see you've got your hand up.
I'm wiping my forehead. It's hot here. He even raised his hand.
Fine, we'll continue.
Ridiculous questions I ever heard.
James Wilson, Jr. of Toledo, Ohio, wants you to compose a second line to his one-line verse. Here it is. Fred Allen has a funny show.
I'm going home.
Now, you keep your seat. All right, Fred Allen has a funny show. Let's hear a second line to that. Joan?
Fred Allen has a funny show, but there's not a thing he doesn't know.
Very good, Joan. All right, let's have another one.
What's funny about that show, boy?
Gerard?
When Mr. Benny hears that, he'll surely blow.
All right, Jackie, what have you got to offer?
Fred Allen has a funny show. How he does it, I don't know. His jokes are old, his gags ain't funny. He ought to be paid in Confederate money. The end.
Now then, here is really one for you, Jackie Benny. Listen to this.
My father's listening in.
Yeah. All right, tell me, how many strings on a violin?
5. I mean 4.
Yeah.
4.
Very good. How do you spell rosin?
R-O-S-O-N. Rosin.
That's wrong. It's R-O-S-I-N.
Can't understand it. I've been using it for years.
well, kids. I'll have your scores in just a moment.
You had your vitamins today. Well, here's the answer to your daily vitamin A and D problem. Take one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets, now offered and guaranteed by the makers of Alka-Seltzer. Each one-a-day tablet is equal in vitamin A and D content to 2 whole teaspoonfuls of cod liver oil, meeting minimum United States pharmacopoeia standards. One a day is all you take, one a day is all you need, and a penny a day is all it costs. Listen to these low prices. 30 tablets, 35 cents, 90 tablets, only 85 cents, and 180 tablets, only $1.50. One a day is all you take, and 1 penny a day is all it costs. Remember, one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets have been developed and are guaranteed by the makers of Alka-Seltzer, tested and approved by Good Housekeeping Bureau, and commended by Consumer Service Bureau of Parents Magazine. Every member of your family should take one-a-day tablets every day. Ask your druggist for one-a-day tablets. That's the name, one-a-day brand. Look for the big 1 on the package.
Just when I got rolling, the show had to be over.
Well, kids, as a group, you missed only one question tonight, and the individual winners are Richard first, Joan second, and Claude third.
Of course, I knew I wouldn't be in it.
I congratulate you. I congratulate you, as I said before. I congratulate all you quiz kids, and take pleasure in presenting to each of you, in behalf of the makers of Alka-Seltzer, a $100 denomination United States savings bond. And Jackie Benny, I don't have one for you. You see, these bonds are to help the children pay for their future education, and we didn't think you'd spend your money in going to college. But here's a Zenith portable radio. Maybe you can learn something listening to the Quiz Kids every Wednesday night.
Well, at least I can hawk the radio. I can get something.
Friends, we'll be back in Chicago next week, and we'll resume competition with only the 3 highest scorers remaining for the succeeding examination. The 3 winners on our last competitive program were Claude, Richard, and Jack. Completing the board will be Gerard and Joan, the same children on the program tonight. Meanwhile, this is Joe Kelly dismissing the Quiz Kids class until next Wednesday at this same time. Good night, kids.
Come on, ask
Mr.
more
Kelly.
questions. Let's get going here. Come on.
This is Jerry Hendiga saying, stay tuned. More great old radio classics coming right up.
Listen again next Wednesday night to the Quiz Kids. The makers of Alka-Seltzer present 3 programs each week, all of them on NBC networks. On Friday night, Alec Templeton Time. On Saturday night, the famous Alka-Seltzer National Barn Dance. And next Wednesday night again, the Quiz Kids. For interesting variety and entertainment, listen to the Alka-Seltzer shows. Ken Carpenter speaking. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Now, from the frivolity of the Quiz Kids, we switch to one of the more unusual episodes of the long-running detective show, Mr. Keen, Tracer of Lost Persons.
It's time now for Mr. Keen, Tracer of Lost Persons. Ladies and gentlemen, Anison and Kalinos present Mr. Keen, Tracer of Lost Persons, one of the most famous characters of American fiction in one of radio's most thrilling dramas. Tonight and every Thursday at the same time, the famous old investigator takes from his file and brings to us one of his most celebrated missing persons cases. Tonight's case is entitled The Case of the Rushville Murder. This program is brought to you by the makers of Anison, the remarkable tablets that bring incredibly fast and effective relief from the pain of headaches, neuritis, and neuralgia. Anison is like a doctor's prescription. That is, it contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients in easy-to-take tablet form. Thousands of people have received envelopes containing Anison tablets from their own dentist or physician. Perhaps you, too, have been introduced to Anison this way. Then you know how effective Anison is. If not, try it yourself. Whenever you want incredibly fast relief from the pain of headache, neuritis, or neuralgia, you'll be delighted with the results. For most effective relief, use only as directed. Just ask for Anacin at any drug counter. It's spelled A-N-A-C-I-N. Anacin. Now for Mr. Keene and the case of the Rushville murder. Our scene opens in the home of Dr. Prentice, a well-known physician and psychiatrist who resides in the small New Jersey community of Rushville. The doctor's daughter, a tall, lovely young girl, is just reaching for the telephone, which has been ringing insistently, as if aware of the urgency of this particular call.
Hello?
Laura, this is Dad.
Oh, where are you, Father?
At the hospital, but I'm coming right home, Laura. After I hang up, be sure to shut and bolt all the doors and windows.
Why, what's happened, Dad?
One of my patients has just escaped from the hospital. She's a homicidal maniac, Laura, and extremely dangerous.
Father, there was something I wanted to tell you.
Later, my dear. Right now, you do as I ask. This insane patient of mine is under the delusion that I'm her enemy, and she may head for the house immediately. I've already informed the police.
All right, Father.
And don't let anyone inside the house. I'll be home in 20 minutes. Goodbye, Laura.
Goodbye. There. I've shut and locked all the windows. Who's there? Oh, no. No, you're not going to... No. No, don't touch me. Put down that knife. No!
My daughter was found by the police 5 minutes after I had phoned her, Mr. Keene. She'd been stabbed to death with a kitchen knife.
Tell me, were all the windows and doors in your home locked as you'd asked, Dr. Prentice?
No, Mr. Keene. The windows were shut, but apparently Laura never had time to lock the back door that leads to the kitchen before Natalie Craven, the insane patient, reached the house.
Saints preserve us. Well, Dr. Prentice, your insane patient seemed to head for your home immediately after escaping from the hospital.
Yes.
That's a little odd in itself.
But I told you how this patient felt about me, Mr. Keene. I'd treated her for a mental disorder for 2 years, but she developed a fixation about me and began to feel that I was her mortal enemy.
Well, you were devoting your time to bring her back to sanity.
Yes, Mr. Keene.
But what I meant, Dr. Prentice, is this. You were in the hospital at the time of the insane woman's escape. Now, if she wanted to murder you, why didn't she attack you after you left the building? Why did she come to your home instead and attack your daughter?
The mind of a psychotic reacts in odd ways, Mr. Keene. This woman, Nettie Craven, may have thought I'd left the hospital. Then, finding I wasn't at home, she must have attacked my daughter, Laura, to revenge herself on me.
Oh, I see what you mean, Doctor.
Since the death of my wife, Mr. Keene, there have been only 2 things in my life. My work and my daughter, Laura. Laura is gone now. But I still have my work. And I intend to carry on.
Naturally.
I don't want Nettie Craven punished for the crime. She's completely insane. But she must be caught and returned to the hospital before she claims another victim.
You, for instance, Dr. Prentice?
No, I wasn't thinking of myself. I'm thinking of others. That's why I've come to you, Mr. Keene. The police are on the case, of course. And if an investigator of your ability also enters it and works along with them, the woman will be captured all the sooner.
I intend to do everything I can, Dr. Prentice.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Keene. Needless to say, you'll be doing a great public service.
Yeah, but we're also thinking about you, Dr. Prentice.
Oh, please don't worry about me, Mr. Clancy.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to do a little prescribing in this particular case, Dr. Prentice. Where is your home?
In New Jersey, a town called Rushville.
Well, Rushville is just across the river.
That's right, Mr. Clancy.
Dr. Prentice, I'd like to exchange house keys with you. I'd like you to stay in my apartment until this case is over. And Mike and I will stay in your house.
But my work, Mr. Keene, my practice.
It'll be better for you to miss a few days' work now, Doc, than to end up with no work at all.
You mean you think Nettie Craven will try to make me her next victim?
If this insane woman killed your daughter, yes. I insist that you take these precautions, Doctor.
Well, in that case, I'll do as you asked, Mr. Keene.
Fine.
And be careful yourself. I needn't remind you that a homicidal case like Nettie's is most dangerous.
Oh, I'm aware of that, Dr. Prentice.
There's just one thing I'd like to add, Mr. Keene. If a young man named John Digby calls, try to break the news of Laura's murder as gently as possible. John is Laura's husband.
Husband, eh? Was he living in your home, too, Doctor?
No, As a matter of fact, my daughter Laura had just come back to my house the day before. She and John were married only a month ago. They had a childish quarrel.
I see.
Oh, it was nothing at all, Mr. Keene. John's a fine boy, and I was certain I could have patched things up between them.
You tried to notify him of Laura's death, didn't you, Dr. Prentice?
Yes, but I couldn't reach him anywhere.
Very well, Dr. Prentice. You can proceed to my home immediately. I'll notify the hospital you won't be available for a few days. Meanwhile, Mike and I will bend every effort to put our hands on this Rushville murderer before another victim is added to the list.
Well, the light switch must be on this wall here, Mr. Keene, sir. Oh, here it is.
Well, Dr. Prentice seems to have a very comfortable home, Mike.
I'm sure it's too bad he lost his daughter. It's pretty tough for a man to go through something like that, Mr. Keene.
Yes, but he still has his work, and he's one of the best in the profession. If we can...
Boss, just a minute. I thought I heard someone moving around the next room.
You're right, Mike. There's someone here. Open that door.
I'd better have my gun handy, just in case.
Who are you?
Stand where you are, mister. Don't move.
What are you, thieves?
No, young man. We happen to be working with the police.
The police?
What are you doing here in Dr. Prentice's home?
Come to talk to my wife.
His wife? This must be young John Digby, boss. Laura's husband.
How did you know my name?
Your father-in-law, Dr. Prentice, told us about you, John. My name is Keene. This is my partner, Mike Clancy. May I ask how you got into this house?
Why, there was a kitchen window open. I didn't want to ring the front doorbell because I thought that Laura wouldn't let me in. We'd quarreled like a couple of silly kids, and she'd left me. I've come back to apologize to her.
Saints preserve us, but he hasn't even heard.
Heard what?
Sit down, John.
What is it? Why are you both looking at me like that?
Where have you been for the past 2 days?
I was so miserable after our quarrel. I went to a little town near Philadelphia.
That explains why you didn't learn of the tragedy.
What tragedy?
It's going to be a shock, John, so prepare yourself. Your wife, Laura, was murdered.
Laura murdered?
By a maniac.
No, I don't believe it.
It's true, and I'm sorry. One of your father-in-law's patients, an insane woman, escaped from the hospital, and they think she attacked your wife.
I should never have let Laura leave our apartment. It's all my fault, Mr. Keene.
Sometimes fate works out things in her own peculiar way, John.
And you think it was that maniac who killed Laura?
Well, that's the general opinion.
Well, it isn't my opinion.
What do you mean, John?
Mr. Keene, a few days ago, Laura was troubled by something important she wanted to tell her father. She started to tell me about it when I got home. But I interrupted her, and that's when we had our quarrel.
You don't know what it was that worried your wife?
I can guess. We fought because I was jealous, Mr. Keene. Jealous of a man named Arthur Halliday.
And who is he, John?
He used to be a medical student at the university in town. Dr. Prentice is a member of the examining board in that university. The board that passes on a student's character before he's permitted to graduate as a doctor.
Yes, go on.
Halliday drank a lot, gambled. The examining board found out and dismissed him from the medical school. They decided he was too weak to accept the responsibility a doctor must take.
You say you were jealous of this Arthur Halliday?
Yes, Mr. Keene. He used to see a lot of Laura before we were married. The other day, I saw them together on the street. She never told me she was seeing him. Now it's beginning to be clear to me. Halliday was probably trying to use Laura's influence with her father to have himself reinstated at the medical school. She refused, and he made a threat. That's what she wanted to tell her father, Dr. Prentice, about.
Well, you don't mind my saying so, John. You're taking a lot for granted.
But it is worthwhile looking into, isn't it, Mr. Keene? If I ever find out that Arthur Halliday was responsible for Laura's death, I'll...
Oh, you look a little pale, young fella.
News is too much of a shock for him, Mike. Would you like to lie down inside for a while, John?
Yes, sir. I think I'd better. I'll be all right, Mr. Keene. I just want to be alone for a few minutes.
I'll answer that, Mike.
Is Dr. Prentice in, please?
No, not at the moment.
My name is Maud Craven.
Craven? Mr. Keene, she must be related to that insane patient who escaped.
She's my sister, sir.
Come in, Miss Craven. My name is Keene. I happen to be looking for your sister.
Mr. Keene, the famous investigator? Oh, you won't put Nettie in prison, will you, sir? She doesn't realize what she's doing.
All I want is to return her to the hospital where she belongs.
I know they're looking for Nettie. They think she murdered the doctor's daughter, Laura. I came here to tell Dr. Prentice how unhappy it made me when I heard about what happened.
Do you know where your sister may have hidden, Miss Craven?
If I did, Mr. Keene, I'd call the hospital. I know how dangerous Nettie is. I don't want to give her the chance to do to someone else what she did to poor Miss Laura.
Excuse me for a moment, please. Hello?
Dr. Prentice?
He's not in at the moment. Who's calling, please?
Arthur Halliday. When will I be able to reach him?
Why, very shortly. Is it important?
I'll say it's important. To me, anyway. Who is this?
A friend of the doctor's.
Well, you can give him this message. He's kicked me around long enough. Because of him, I can't get into a medical school in the country. And if he doesn't stop hounding me, I'll square accounts.
Hello? Hello?
Who was that, Mr. Keene?
That was Arthur Halliday, Mike. The young medical student John Digby told us about. I wish I could have gotten his address.
But if he was a student in a town university, they can tell you where to reach him, Mr. Keene. If you want me to, I'll...
What is it, Miss Craven?
The window.
Sans preserve us. There's someone outside, boss.
Yes, she's staring in the window.
Look at that face. She looks like an animal.
It's Nettie. It's my sister.
Grab her, Mike.
Mr. Keene.
Isn't she there?
There's no one in sight, sir. She's disappeared like a ghost, boss. It's too dark out here to see where she went.
She couldn't have gotten far, Mike. Something tells me she's still close by. Come on. We're going to search every inch of these grounds.
In just a moment, we'll return to Mr. Keene and the case of the Rushville murder. Meanwhile, beware of unpleasing breath that breathes between the teeth. Use Colinos toothpaste with dental floss action. Those crevices where food particles can decay must be reached for a clean mouth, welcome breath. Colinos toothpaste gives you dental floss action. That is, sends thousands of cleansing bubbles to help dislodge bits of food that can cause unpleasing breath and decay. Colinos is dentist recommended. Cleans teeth bright, keeps breath right. And listen. Now save 31 cents on Colinos toothpaste in the new giant economy size. Go to your dealers today. Take advantage of this great bargain. Save 31 cents on new giant economy size Colinos. Get Colinos toothpaste today. Now back to Mr. Keene and the case of the Rushville murder. Mr. Keene, the great investigator, and his partner, Mike Clancy, are investigating the murder of Laura Digby, the married daughter of a well-known physician, Dr. Prentice, who's attached to a hospital for the insane. One of the patients, an insane woman named Nettie Craven, escaped from the hospital, and she's the one who is under suspicion for the crime. Now, Mike and Mr. Keene have just seen Nettie's face peering in through a window of Dr. Prentice's home. And as they search the grounds for her...
She was standing right over here, Mr. Keene, near this window.
Yes, she was, Mike, but I don't see any footprints.
It's starting to snow, boss.
Well, we'd better go back inside the house. Maybe Nettie Craven managed to slip away after all. Mike.
Yes, boss.
Come over here for a moment. Look at this.
Why, it's a pair of doors leading right into the ground.
No, it doesn't lead into the ground, Mike. It probably leads into the cellar of the house. Some of these old-fashioned houses have cellars built this way. See if you can open it, Mike.
Well, I'd try. No, it won't budge, Mr. Keene.
Nettie must have bolted it on the inside.
You think she's hiding in there?
Yes. By now, she must be somewhere inside the house, Mike. Here, let me have your handcuffs.
Here you are, Mr. Keene.
Let's put these handcuffs through the rings on the cellar doors and lock them from the outside. There we are, Mike. Now, she won't be able to get out the way she came in. Now, let's go back inside the house and find her.
Mr. Keene, did you find my sister Nettie?
Not yet, Miss Craven. We think she's got inside the house through the cellar.
She's in here?
Why, you're not afraid of your sister, are you?
I don't know, Mr. Keene. I used to be able to reason with Nettie, but lately she's been so violent.
Well, you better stay right here in the living room while we make a search, Miss Craven. First, Mike, we'll phone the police in the hospital and tell them to send help.
Well, here's the telephone, boss. It's funny.
What's the trouble, Mike?
Well, it sounds like the phone is dead.
Just a minute. Let's see where the phone wire runs to. Goes to this wall, then runs along the woodwork to the window. Open up the window, Mike.
Well, Mr. King, the phone wire's been pulled right out of the outside wall.
Mike, this window faces the side of the house where we saw Nettie Craven.
Well, then Nettie Craven must have pulled the phone wire out just before she went through the cellar doors, Mr. King.
There's a car coming down the driveway, Mike.
Yeah, but he's not coming all the way, boss. He's stopping on top of that small hill where the driveway goes up and turns out to the main road.
That's peculiar.
Now he's put his headlights out.
Mike, search this house. See if you can find Nettie Craven. But be careful.
I will, Mr. King.
And get hold of John Digby to help you. I'm going outside again and see what our latest visitor is up to. Who's there?
Who are you? My name is Halliday.
Arthur Halliday, the medical student?
The ex-medical student. If it wasn't for Dr. Prentice, I might have been practicing now.
If your character had been what it should have, Dr. Prentice and the school board wouldn't have stood in your way.
You must be the man I talked to on the phone a few minutes ago.
That's right. My name is Keene.
Get out of my way. It's Prentice I want to see.
Now, just a moment. Do you happen to know that Dr. Prentice's daughter, Laura, has been murdered?
Laura? Murdered?
You didn't read about it in the papers?
I just got back from New Orleans. I tried to get into another medical school down there, but they wouldn't have me. That's Dr. Prentice's fault, too.
When a man has a bad reputation, it travels fast, Halliday.
I'm not asking you for your opinion, Keene. I asked Laura to help me, but she wouldn't. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. Now get out of my way before I shoot.
I had a feeling you were rather stealthy about your movements. Parking your car up there on the hill and sneaking down Dr. Prentice's driveway in the dark. That gun you have seems to bear me out.
I'm going to get square, see? Prentice is my enemy. And if it's the last thing I
Look out behind you, Halliday.
Don't try and trick me.
Your car, it's running wild.
What?
Jump, Halliday. Put him over here on this couch, Mike.
There. Easy now.
His car rolled down the hill and smashed into the house after hitting Halliday. I don't think he's seriously injured, just stunned. I managed to push him partly out of the way.
Well, Mr. Keene, how could a man be dumb enough to park a car on a hill with his handbrake off?
The brake was on when I left it.
Did you hear what he said, boss?
Yes, Mike. That means someone deliberately released that handbrake, hoping the car would roll down and kill the two of us. Where are John Digby and Maud Craven?
Here I am, Mr. Keene. Oh, what's happened?
This man's been hurt, Miss Craven. Where have you been?
I heard a noise upstairs and I went up to investigate. I hoped that I might be able to reason with my sister Nettie and save you trouble, Mr. Keene.
You haven't left this house?
No, Mr. Keene.
Where's John Digby, Mike?
Well, he wasn't in that bedroom where he went to lie down, boss. So I started to search the house by myself, and just as I started down into the cellar, I heard the car crash and I ran up. Saints preserve us. What was that?
Mr. Keene, it sounded like my sister Nettie.
Sounds like an insane person, all right.
Enough to chill you to the marrow. Just listen to her.
It's coming from the cellar, Mike. Come on, let's get down there immediately.
Mr. Keene, stay where you are. For heaven's sake, don't move.
It's John Digby, boss.
Nettie Craven standing behind him, Mike, with an axe in her hand.
Yes, I'm Nettie Craven. Don't move, either of you.
Do as she says, Mr. Keene, or she'll bury that axe in the back of my head.
Nettie, why do you want to harm John Digby?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of yours, Nettie.
Are you?
Won't you put that axe down so we can talk?
I can talk with the axe in my hand. Where's Dr. Prentice?
He's not here, Nettie.
That's all they ever do is lie to me. Where is he?
I told you, Dr. Prentice is not here.
Tell him his patient is here. Tell him the most beautiful patient he ever had is waiting for him.
She's as mad as a hatter, Mr. Keene.
Mad, am I? I'll show you who's mad.
Nettie, wait. I think you're very clever, Nettie.
There's a man with sense.
How long have you been hiding here in Dr. Prentice's house?
None of your business.
Do you know that it's snowing very hard outside?
Snowing? Wasn't snowing when I came in?
No, you'll need rubbers when you go home, or you'll catch a cold.
Yes, I will.
Wouldn't you like us to take you home in a car?
A big car?
Very big one. Where do you want us to take you?
I want to see Dr. Prentice.
Why?
I don't know. I had a reason. I forget it now.
Nettie, do you want that ride?
In the car?
Yes.
Yes, I'd love it.
Then put the axe down.
She's dropped the axe. Grab her.
Let me handle this, John. Nettie, did you kill Dr. Prentice's daughter, Laura?
I never killed anyone.
But you once threatened Dr. Prentice, didn't you?
Nettie? Nettie, what are you doing down there? Maud! It's my sister, Maud.
Oh, thank heaven you found her, Mr. Keene. Is everything all right?
Yes, Miss Craven. Mike, you have an extra pair of handcuffs, haven't you?
Oh, you're not going to handcuff my sister Nettie, are you?
No, I believe I can handle Nettie with a little psychology. We're going to handcuff you, Maud Craven.
Me?
Put them on her, Mike.
What for?
The murder of Laura Digby.
Oh, it's a lie!
A few moments ago, you told me you never left that living room, Maud Craven. Yet your shoes were wet, and I saw snowflakes in your hair. You were outside the house, and you released the handbrake on Arthur Halliday's car.
It was Nettie. She did it.
No, Maud. I know that your sister Nettie has been inside since it started snowing, because her shoes are dry. The one who released that car brake and tried to kill Halliday and me was the one who murdered Dr. Prentice's daughter, Laura.
You can't prove I did that.
No? Well, we'll see. There are fingerprints on that brake handle, no doubt. And I have a hunch they'll match with yours.
But I was wearing gloves.
Yes, of course you were. However, that admission is all I needed.
Oh, you tricked me. You tricked me, Mr. Keene, just now the way Dr. Prentice did.
How did he trick you?
I thought he was in love with me, but he was only leading me on.
I knew you fell for him, Maud. I knew it all the time. You used to be there when he came to see me at the hospital to talk to me. I could see it in your eyes. But he didn't fall for you.
That's right, Nettie. Stand up for him. One of the reasons I wanted to get rid of him was because of you. Don't you see, Nettie? Dr. Prentice was the one who said you were insane. He put you in that hospital. You know you hated him.
Mr. Keene, look at Maud Craven's eyes. She looks as crazy as her sister Nettie.
Yes, I know, John. It appears that both sisters are hopelessly insane.
You fool, you idiots. If you try to turn me in, you'll get what Laura got.
So that's why you murdered Laura. She must have found out about your mental condition and was going to tell her father.
Yes. That must have been why Laura was worried, Mr. Keene.
Exactly, John. Your wife, Laura, found out that Maud Craven was as insane as her sister. But before she could inform the doctor, Maud entered the house and killed her.
Is Maud coming with us now?
Yes, Nettie, she's coming with you. And she's going to stay with you in the mental hospital. Mark, I think we can take both of them away and consider the case of the Rushville murder as closed.
Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, is based on the novel Mr. Keene. The radio sequel is originated and produced by Frank and Ann Hummert. Dialogue by Lawrence Klee. Bennett Kilpack plays Mr. Keene. It is on the air every Thursday at this time. Don't miss Mr. Keene next Thursday when the kindly old Tracer turns to the case of murder on the sightseeing bus.
I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for going along on our journey through the final 25 years of radio. Radio's golden years. Join me again next time.